Hello, 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 everybody. Happy Wednesday. Happy 8 p.m. on Wednesday. It's hump day, and it is the middle of the week and last week of school. I don't know about college students, but for elementary and all that stuff, it's the last day of school. How's everybody doing? Dawn will be back in a minute. I'm going to go ahead and share this out. If anyone's here, go ahead and share, please. And if you're on YouTube, let me know. Um, I had to run get my phone. So, we're going to be talking about anything really paranormal related. We could finish talking about some stuff that I was talking about earlier with someone on a podcast, and it was um, earlier we were talking about experimentation and cross mutation between humans and monkeys or apes, and it was actually successful after like 3 or 4 tries. I had picked an article where they did an experiment where there was a baby that lived with a chimp for 9 months, and they lived as brother and sister. The chimp was a male or a female, and the little baby was a boy. And they lived as brother and sister, coexisting and trying to the parents were trying to teach them both the same things. And it was causing such a like growth slope for both of them in different ways that they decided to end it after 9 months. It was just causing like a learning curve for everybody. So then earlier after that video went off that we were watching about that, we looked up Stalin and some kind of like 1830s experiment where they tried to crossbreed chimps and humans, and that was shut down. And then they tried to do it again like 30 years later, 30 something years later, and that attempt did not work because they impregnated the chimps with human DNA, and they after 3 months the chimps actually died because of neglect. And then 2016 and 1996 that was tried again, and one of those attempts was successful in creating a chimpanzee male that was birthed and lived to be at least 20 years old. So I thought that was
Wow.
interesting. Yeah. And some of the experimenting was done in China. I was going to go ahead and share this out real quick. I was
Wow.
waiting until you got on here. If you want to talk for a minute, I want to share this.
Okay. Is there anybody on?
There's
Because
somebody,
I
yeah.
was I was watching on Facebook or TikTok. I was scrolling through TikTok earlier, and I watched a thing where a baby deer came out and asked for help for his mother. She was caught in barbed wire or something.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
hi, Johnny. And a little bitty baby come up and got the attention of these guys and asked for and kept getting their attention. And they went and helped and followed the baby deer. I mean, he was just a little big guy, and followed him and then helped the mom out. And then they were leaving, and mom took off. And then pretty soon, the baby come out of the woods, and the mom followed him, and he leaned down the way he got their attention and let him pet him to say thank you. It was so cute.
Oh, wow. That's
And
crazy.
then the baby and the mom took off. Yeah, it was so cute.
I was saying, like, even though it sounds unethical to do that, it does sound unethical in some ways, in modern times to do an experiment such as that. But, like, if you think about it, I think they were saying the Anunnaki was a race, an ancient race, supposedly called the Anunnaki, and they have dug up, whatever, however you want to say it. They've dug up remains and bones and like fossils from a ancient human race that had chimp facial features and an elongated or a big head like a chimp, and it looked like a chimp facial features, but it stood up right like a man. So how would we actually like maybe they were trying to figure, hey Anthony, maybe they were trying to figure out how did that happen then, and they were trying to recreate that I don't know what the motive was. I didn't read the articles. I was going to try to look them up. But how do we know that's not how that happened then? That you had that kind of hybrid from that?
Hi, Anthony. Rosie was just talking about China was trying to do that too. A lot of and someone lived to be 21 or 20.
Yeah. I was trying to find a way to share this. Because there's only one person watching. I was going to share it. But I'm like, which page am I streaming it to right now so that I can share it? The Temple page, the YouTube, and then things. So I've shared it out to a couple places. Anyway, so anyone can come back. There's a story about Russians. Yeah, I think there was another incident where Russia. It was either the 1996 experiment or the 2016 experiment, which both of those are not that long ago, really, that somebody was trying to do that. One was successful, I think, and one was not. There's a research lab here in San Antonio that people whisper about stuff like that. What? You live in San Antonio? That's crazy. I also looked up like the actual process of the genealogical DNA testing because I know that that had came up and that's been talked about in the true crime world for years now. And since those new developments and documents came out from the prosecution answering back to the Brian Koberger team, defense team, about him not getting some of the DNA results back from whatever process that they went through to discover that sample that they found on the knife sheath. They are over by Lackland. You know what's crazy? Somebody told me today that Lackland was on lockdown for something. That their kid was on lockdown on a bus for something. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was a disease or it was like a mass shooting or it was like a threat, like someone called in a threat or something like that. I don't really remember what was going on, but they said Lackland Air Force Base. And I was like, well, that's an Air Force base. Well, they said Lackland. They didn't say the base, but I just assumed that they were talking about the base. Anyways,
Huh.
Yeah, I was looking at the actual process and like the literal, like the details of like how they go to test and come about to get that DNA and identify it to match it to somebody because they use there's two different resources that they can use to genealogically test DNA to link it to someone, and it will be in the direct family line, such as a mother or a dad or a sibling or a first cousin of the person that the DNA belongs to. If they're not in CODIS, the system that like criminal, like the law enforcement system that they use for criminals that have been fingerprinted, if they're not in there, then their next move is to go to two different methods of genealogical DNA identification.
Yeah, I was watching Tyler Feller when you called
Yeah.
on YouTube because he was doing a live stream because Brian Koberger got grand jury.
Extradited for a secret grand jury.
Yep.
Yep, I know. I saw that coming. I knew it was going to come. I saw it this morning at like 9 a.m. I was like, bam, Ashley Banfield done threw that out there at 9 a.m. Probably put it out before that, but that's when I saw it. It was 8:30 or 9.
It
And I was
came
like,
out this morning, but some people knew about it last night.
you know where Brian Enton was at today?
Mm-mm.
Her reporter, the guy that has the white hair that's all over the place.
Mm-mm.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
He was here like an hour and 15 minutes away from me.
Oh,
At
really?
Henrietta. He was at Henrietta, Oklahoma for the Jesse McFadden case.
Uh-oh.
I thought about driving there to see him today. I was like, I am such a fan of his. Like I would be like, oh my gosh, it's Brian Hinton. Brian Hinton. Oh my gosh. But nobody else would talk to him. I would have. I don't know anything that he wants to know, but I saw last night on News Nation where he had gone to the police department to try to get information, and he gave his business card to the clerk. She went and got an officer. They came out and said no comment, and they gave him his card back and sent him away. And then he went to try to contact and went to the house of that chaplain that married Jesse and what's the girl's name? It escapes me. His wife that married them in prison. There was a chaplain that married them in prison. They went to his house and he said no comment. Period. I'm an Okie, yes.
I'm not an Okie. I'm from Illinois.
I've been to Oklahoma. I've lived in Oklahoma. I live on the Arkansas border, and I've also lived in Texas. So I guess I'm like a tri-state. I'm tri-state person, tri-state baby. I don't know. Oklahoma, Arkansas, Texas. So, but yeah, they were trying to get a hold of that chaplain, and he said no comment. Period. Like literally, that's what he said. And then they were gonna go try to get a information about those 32 cell phones that were found in their house. It was 32 cell phones. Correct me if I'm wrong. Or was it 23 cell phones? I'm pretty sure it was 32 cell phones were found in that house. And they tried to contact
I'm
also
not
the
familiar
landlord
with
of
that
the home.
case.
Are you not? They tried to contact the landlord of that home as well that was illegally renting it to Jesse McFadden and that family. It wasn't supposed to be rented. It was supposed to be put up for sale because it was, I don't know if it was repossessed or something like that, but it was not supposed to be rented out. And that guy wouldn't make any comments either. He got mad. Probably because he was in trouble.
I am
He got
not familiar
caught.
with that case.
Oh, I am. Before it even started, like the day before it started, the bolo that they put out before it even happened, I called my mom. I said, "Did you see that bolo about the two girls and the guy in the white avalanche?" And I told her. She said, "Yeah, I hope they find them." And I said, "They're not going to find them." I said, "I can already tell you that he's a pedophile and a rapist, and that they're dead." And I
Yeah,
knew nothing
you
about it.
told me
Yeah,
about that.
I knew nothing about it yet because at that point I don't even know if they had happened yet or not. But that's just what I told her. I was like, "Nope, he's a pedophile and a rapist, and they're both dead." Excuse me, they're both unalive.
Yeah, you told me about that. You told me about that, but even before they found them,
I don't know why. Yeah, before they found them, before it was even on the news, the bolo was just the only thing that we saw. And I
yeah,
think the next day, maybe at around like 11 or 12, I might have seen that. It might have been later in the evening that I saw that. And I was like, oh my God, I was right.
yeah, you
And I was
told
like,
me. Yeah, you told me about that before they even found them.
yeah, I just knew. I don't know. I just knew. I was telling somebody today I'm like a death detector. I just am. I don't know how many times I've told people, like my cat, I know it's going to pass away. And like with my grandma, my stepdad, and my dad, and I think my uncle too. I'm not 100% sure. I don't remember because everyone else had passed away before him, and I kind of think I was kind of like, like jaded at the moment. But I was like, that person's going to pass away in a few days. They did. That person's going to pass away in a few days. They did. That person's going to pass away in about a week or two, and they did. And then
And
my
I knew
dad,
my stepdad was going to go, and I begged him to fight.
did you?
I did. I begged him to fight, but I knew he was going to go.
Splice DNA has been known throughout. Bet you're fun at parties and me or her. Don't put us in a party together.
It sucks knowing things. It really
Yeah,
does.
it does. Yeah, it does. I mean, what do you have to look forward to and get excited about when you already know what's going to happen? And sometimes it's not good. A lot of the times it's not good. I mean, sometimes it is. I still try to like block it out and like live in a fairy tale land where I'm happy. But then something happens and you can't deny that you saw it or know it. You just can't deny it. So what I had gathered today, because I really wanted to know the exact process, because everybody was whining and like complaining about like, oh, they're not going to give Koberger that DNA because it belongs to him. If it was collected and it was his DNA off the knife sheaths, and he should have, he should get it. they're trying to be shady. And I was like, no, there's a reason that they're doing that. And I know what it is. I know for one that the way that this case has been, and it's such a high profile, and there are so many people that are like on both sides. I don't see there has to be some kind of altercations outside the courthouse on those days that they're going to be in court. If anyone thinks they're going to get a glimpse of anybody, there's going to be probably people there with signs and protesting and all kinds of stuff on his behalf and the victim's behalf. I'd be on the victim's side, by the way. I would not be in the Brian Koberger fan club, even if he wasn't on, suspicions of murder. I don't really think he's like hot to trot. You know what I'm saying? When I see if person's death, I see dark around person. Do you? I feel that. Like I don't see it with my eyes. I see it either in here, like in my mind, like a little movie thing, kind of like a projection, but inside my head, like there's a projector in the back of my head, like in a movie theater, and there's a screen in the front of my head, and I can see it in there. Or I like feel, that person the way that they feel, I guess. Like their body is preparing itself and it's, like slowing down, and I can kind of feel that sometimes. It just, I don't know how to
Yeah,
describe it.
I feel it.
Idaho. And I was asking somebody said, my boss is from Idaho. And I said, did you ask her what's in the water there? Because I was like, the Lori Day Belvallo trial was in Idaho too. That happened in Idaho. And now this is in Idaho. And then all this other stuff that everyone's, like reaching for that's connected, that's not good stuff. It's criminal activity, like drug cartel and stuff like that. That's all in Idaho. So how much left energy
My,
is it?
my
Yeah.
stepdad was laying in a hospital bed, and he was about ready to go, and I begged him not to go, but I knew I
I
knew
do.
I knew he was going.
This I do to an extent, but it depends on the situation. Because, like, when my dad was on his, I don't like to say that word, my dad was about to pass away and he wasn't going to have much longer to live. And the doctor told me that, and the doctor told him that. He was asking me to take him home. And that was like probably one of the saddest days of my life. And I had to look at him and
Yeah,
tell him I wanted to take him home, but I had to transfer him back from, first they put him in Little Rock, then Tulsa, Oklahoma, and then back in Portsmouth, Arkansas. So I had to tell him that he had to go to a hospice care facility in Portsmouth, Arkansas, that was very close by to me and my sisters, so that and my daughter, so we could visit him very often, and that we would be there every day. Um, but that he said he was looking at me and he said, "I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna get through this. I'm gonna be fine." He was a fighting spirit. So to tell a man that they're not fine when they've lived through Vietnam and they never spoke a word about it to you, and they're sitting there telling you they're going to be fine, and to tell them they're not, and them not believe you, is very difficult.
yeah,
And that is exactly what I mean, like that. That's how sometimes if there's a missing person, that's why I do believe that when they come out and they do autopsies or they come out with the information for the investigation, I do believe that those girls will have passed away when I told my mom that they were already passed away. Because I told her that I didn't feel their life essence anymore. I felt nothing from them that was like a spark. I didn't feel a light or a spark from them. By looking at their photos, I felt like they were either in the process of leaving this earth or they were already gone. And then when I saw that the next day, I was like, yeah, I felt that. Yes. That's the Idaho case. And then before that, I was talking about the Henrietta, Oklahoma case, which they're calling the Henrietta Seven, which was Jesse McSpadden, his wife, and five children that were in the home. Two were staying the night at a slumber party, and three of them were the husband and wife's children slash stepchildren. All dads are fighters. Yeah, my stepdad was the same. That's why he passed
and
away.
my stepdad was a fighter. It
Mm-hmm.
every time my mom stepped close to him, he would his heart rate would speed up as it got to where she had to step back and
Yeah.
and just let him pass. But I probably the only one that caught on to that. But
Yeah, because sometimes they'll hang on until they feel like that y'all are willing, that the still alive people that are going to be left behind. Sometimes they'll hang on for a minute if they can to try to like let everybody let them go. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Oh, it's a big deal. If you look up Jesse McFadden or look up Henrietta, Oklahoma, um, mass, the M word, and you'll find it. It just happened a few weeks ago.
yeah, he looks like a creep.
Oh, I knew just by looking at him. And I always notice like if somebody, because I've had so much experience with it, not myself personally, but people in my life had so much experience with it that I can always say like that person's on opioids or that
Really?
person's on drugs or that person's on this or that person's on that, just because I can just tell from the way that their eyes look, their face looks, and working in the field that I have worked in, looking at those people all night every night, basically. Well, I am fond that this body at times can not longer hold spirit of self. You feel like it's hard to. Hey Joanne, how's it going? Joanne. Jolene. Joanne.
Totally.
Joanne. Well, I'm fond. Well, I hope that you are around longer. That sometimes I know, sometimes, I mean, I've felt pretty good lately. I've been there before where I felt like, I don't know if it was more physical or more mental or just more spiritual. Just kind of like, man, what am I here for? I've felt like that before. So I was
Yeah,
actually,
I
go ahead.
get drained.
Yeah. That's why I didn't answer the phone when you called me last night because I was talking to somebody and I just felt like wrecked inside. And I was like, man, I am going to have to like do some work on this. Fix to get this, to clear this out. I'm going to have to do some work to clear this out. What makes me mad is I'll give somebody way too many chances. I always do. And I shouldn't. So, anyways, you better hurry, Johnny. You better hurry. No, you might miss something that you'll never unsee. So, back to the DNA thing. With the documents that were put out 2 days ago, I believe, and then the ones today. Today was the ones that were expediting. Right? Is that the right word? Not expediting. Arraigning for a secret grand jury to start in the Brian Koberger case.
Yeah,
And then a few days ago, the documents dropped saying, and this was in reply to the defense team asking for such and such items of like specific requests of items that they were felt like they weren't getting. And I think that they were fishing because I've done some back research on that defense
I
team, some of the members
think
of it.
I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to appeal to the public and get the public on their side and
Oh yeah, I know that they are. I'm sure that they are.
play
But that
against
is
the
what a manipulative narcissist does.
yeah.
That is what a very charming serial killer does. I'm just saying, I'm putting it out there. Ted Bundy did it.
Yeah,
BTK did it.
they're trying to make the
Rodney
prosecution look
Alcala did it.
bad.
Let's charm the pants off and manipulate everything, and make this people over here look bad, so that everyone's going to, poison the well and be on the defensive side.
Yeah,
It's poison the
they're
well.
trying to make the prosecution look bad, like they're holding back
Yeah,
when
I
they have
felt that
gotten
extremely hard
so much.
too. And I actually felt like that Ron Koberger was a lot involved in the writing of and requesting of that document, all of those
Yeah,
documents. the most recent ones, especially like all the ones requesting such said items specifically. I felt like he was completely very involved in that, and so that they had answered back a few days ago to the defense saying we already gave you 10,000 um, pages of this and 10,200 pages of this and 5 terabytes. Was it terabytes?
51 terabytes, which is equal to 100 computers full of.
And $1,000 worth of external storage space, according to JRL Investigates. I watch him a lot. I like him a lot.
Yeah.
I think he's very up on his crap. He's up on his game, and they'd give him that much amount of recordings and like video, audio, and camera footage. Um,
And
and
I think that they gave it to him not all at once. I think they've given it to him as they've gotten it. So
yeah, which they can only
they're
do that.
making it sound like that they just dumped it all on him. I think they've gotten it as they've got as.
I think there's a double whammy here. They want to make the prosecution look terrible to appeal to their side, and they also want to. I think he's paranoid, and he thinks that he knows.
Because I was watching a Tyler Feller thing, and he was looking up. He was asking the computer what all the evidence that they had on him, and some website, and it said that they had the knife.
It did.
It did, and then the computer reset itself, and it wouldn't say it again. So I think they might possibly have the knife.
Well, that's one of the number one pieces of evidence that they would need, and that would especially like trump the genealogical samples because according to like what I researched and everything from a woman that was the one that founded that process in the first place, and she has actually used genealogical DNA testing in over 240 cases. Her name is Cece Moore,
Yeah.
and she founded a company. I didn't write the name of it down, but she founded the process of that using that genealogical DNA in over 240 cases. And she said that she had submitted stuff in over 250 cases. Um, the profiling method is first the method of the police is to go to the CODIS system. Obviously, they're going to put it in. They're going to see if they have a match anywhere. And with the help of the FBI, I'm sure that covers like many more areas than just the vicinity. I'm sure it's a system that's actually branched out to all law enforcement. So if they don't get a hit there, then they're going to go and they're going to do what's called a STR, short tandem repeat tests of DNA to identify 20 DNA markers for the suspect or a relative, such as a parent or a sibling. Um, if both of those processes strike out, then they move to the genetic genealogy to perform a broader relative search, it said. This then uses single nucleotide polymorphisms to create a wider relative gene pool, like casting a bigger net to get more fish, basically. But it's not just any fish, it's going to be someone that is proven that they will be able to prove is genetically related to them through their direct bloodline. It's not going to be like, um, President Bush is, kin to me, and I just said that. It's not going to be like that. It says the GED match and the family tree DNA allow this to happen. What they do is it can even like identify if, say, it doesn't identify their mom or their dad. It would identify the first cousin or their sibling or somebody that's really, closely related to him in a direct bloodline or them, anyone, such specimen that they're, submitting the DNA for. Um, in the USA, this can be, what did it say? Very difficult due to extreme privacy acts. And extreme privacy acts, I believe, or what intervened with some of the information he was requesting from this company. And did you know if you do this in Canada or the UK, that you can't really do it in Canada or the UK because they have such strict privacy policies there that they don't allow you to go digging up someone's family tree and like building a family tree and putting their DNA into a system and like, you know, like getting all up in their business, I guess. I didn't know that. I thought that was interesting.
This sit on my computer.
And then the lady said that, you know, this could have potentially been Ted Bundy or a Zodiac killer. I also wrote a lot of questions down because we're going to have some special guests on tomorrow night from the Drunk Turkey Show from YouTube. I think they're actually on right now, or they were on a few minutes ago. Um, and I have a lot of questions to ask them, like 3 pages of questions. So that's going to be fun. Hope you guys are ready. What?
Penny, no.
Oh, and he had asked for any camera recordings or footage from the arrest. That like one is like, since I don't have an explanation for it other than the fact that Pennsylvania said that they were doing a piloting program to use that technology with their officers when they do arrests and stops in 2018. But other than that, I haven't heard an update to where they actually decided to use it or not. Did they decide to actually go with that or not? Or are they going to just be like Clint Eastwood and go old school? I don't know. But I mean, that's what I think it was, like Clint Eastwood or like Chuck Norris or somebody, you know, or Bruce Willis.
And if they don't have any, then why then they got to know that, and they're trying to make the prosecution look bad.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, we should do a show one day where we talk about like the actual findings of the brains of the ones that they've taken. And I know that they took part of Ted Bundy's brain, and like what's the differences or whatever. I've like watched videos about it, but it'd be cool to do a show about it and like actually write down, you know, like bullet points to discuss specifics and stuff of what the difference is. Because visually I can understand stuff, but if I write it down, like, you know, I can't show everybody. I don't have the brain with me. I don't have the computer systems. I could show them a video, but if I did, I'd be rich right now, probably. But it'd be cool to discuss like the differences of the brain patterns and the brain waves and the developmental. Like I know that there's one part that's underdeveloped in a person's brain that's like that, but I think it was technically like labeled as like a sociopath or a psychopath or someone that's under psychosis, and it's how their brain looks versus a normal healthy brain. But that would be a cool topic to talk about too one time. And that'd be cool. The skeleton stories where they piece together skull fractures and other stuff. It'd be neat to like know how the skulls were apart in the first place. What happened to them to make them be apart? But yeah, I think that like, I don't know, it's starting to pick up pace with information that's coming out, and neither one side or the other is playing more dirty than the other. I've gone on several people's channels and said, like, do y'all even know what lawyers do? What they get paid to do? They get paid to play hardball. And you're not going to be a lawyer getting paid $600 something an hour, or a lawyer getting paid, I don't know what the prosecution gets paid, and just give up and let the other team win.
No,
that is not how it works.
Unless you're dirty.
Unless you're getting paid off, but you'd have to be getting paid off a lot of money to do that, because this is such a high profile case. The coverage, the process, your outcome, and the publicity alone is going to get you out there. You know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't, like, really, I don't think, compare to somebody bribing you, unless, I mean, they were like Donald Trump rich.
Well, I was watching a live. I can't remember which one it was. I think it was one of Tyler Feller's people, and they said that if Kohlberger gets off, he'll be killed.
Oh, I'm sure he will. Yeah, he won't be able to go back in public. I
No.
watched a video today, and I'm not 100% sure that it wasn't spliced or anything like that. I need to back it up and find an article that matches with it and cross reference it and fact check it today. But there was a inmate that was released after he was admitted when they brought him in, and she said that he was acting extremely erratic. You know, like, have you read the articles about how he used to rap about killing and stuff?
Mm-mm.
He used to write rap songs, and he actually had an app or like a software on his, I guess probably a laptop, where he actually had a microphone and he had written a rap song about killing people and what would it be like. And I
Well,
wish I
yeah,
could
yeah, I've
like
heard that.
he was rapping some stuff from a singer. If this is correct, again, this is alleged. I'm going to double check it because the recording stopped and then started, then stopped and then started. So I am inclined to want to double check that and make sure that there's a whole version of that. That's nothing that's cut out where they said somebody else's name. They did ask her about the alleged, but that doesn't mean anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't believe half of what I see. So, like, I'm going to go back and double check it. But if it's correct, then he was rap singing a song, and the lady named the song. It's apparently some song on the radio that's popular about killing people and chopping them up and stabbing them.
Huh?
Yeah, that's what she said. So, I don't know. Because I had read an article that another inmate was doing that to him. When they brought this other guy in, he was telling Brian Koberger that he was going to do that to him. He did, yeah.
I
So
don't
that's
see.
why.
I don't see how he could because he is in a whole separate part of the jail, and he's got like a whole part by himself.
She said that she was like, she showed the distance in the video. I recorded it on my phone, and I'll show it to you when we're done. That she showed the distance apart from him, and he had just been brought in, and he was behind some kind of glass. He wasn't like, I don't think, in his cell yet. Like, maybe they're booking him. Maybe he's being processed. I'm not sure. Koberger.
And I seen that somebody said that it's kind of ironic and it's funny that a vegan has burger in his name.
I know, and I've been calling him Cold Burger, and that he had ordered burgers from Jack in the Box, and I was like, honestly, he could have been trying to like swoo some girl and ordering her bacon cheeseburgers. We don't know that he didn't order burgers just because he's a vegan. I wouldn't put it past somebody to order some pretty girl some burgers if they're trying to, hook up with her or whatever. They're trying to impress her. Some vegan guy's not going to be like, I'm not going to, date this girl because she's not a vegan. Because to my knowledge, from all the research that I did, he started being a vegan because of the visual snow that he had, which was like a condition that he had where he couldn't see well all the time, and he saw like snow flurries in his path. And that vegan diet was the best way to help him get rid of the migraines and headaches that it caused. So we don't even know that he was a vegan because he liked animals. Not 100% sure. I mean, we don't know that. Like, I've done research. I've done endless hours. Like, if you put me on something, I will stay up all night long, every night, every night, every night, and I will research it. That is in true crime or the paranormal field, either one. I will not. I will not rest, and that is probably the investigator in me. You know.
That's the cop in her.
Yeah. Yeah. Or that. For sure. Or the
The MP.
yeah. Yeah, I never got to see anything that exciting though when I worked. Anywhere that I've worked doing that stuff, I've never got to see anything like that. But I know that friends of mine that worked with me have got to see stuff that was crazy like that. I mean,
I wouldn't
honestly,
want to see something like that.
oh no, I wouldn't want to see the situation we're talking about right there. Now, I would like to see him dancing around and acting like an idiot, rapping some songs about like that kind of stuff. I would love to see that Because I'd be like, you are not as fresh as you think you are. You need to pull your pants back up. And yeah, because in this video, the woman that was interviewing said he was raising his shirt when he pulled his pants down. And I'm like, I wonder if she's talking about him or if she was talking about this other person that I read an article about, or maybe I misunderstood the article that I read
Just,
altogether.
I gotta shut my camera off for a second. Just
Okay. So there's only one or a couple people watching, but what do you guys think? What do y'all think? I'm not opposed to any theories or ideas, and I'm not opposed to if you don't even agree with what I say or my views or opinions, you can disagree with me if you want to. You don't have to agree with me as long as you're not distasteful about it. I don't, oppose any. I welcome any thought points or views, any thought forms, any opinions. Hey, Chris, have you ever found something on the internet that the next time I went to look for? Yes, there was actually an article that was explaining the genealogical DNA process that was talking about this case specifically. And I kept clicking on it, and it was telling me it wasn't available. And I was like, did they take this down? What's going on here? Is there something going on that I don't know about? And I had to click on it like 4 times before it would actually come up. I actually put it, though, if you look for on the Spectral Sailor Facebook page, I made a QR code and I put that QR code onto that page. You can use the link below or the QR code to look up the article that explains the exact science, and it gives detailed explanation of the process of DNA identification. If anyone's interested in that, it's on the Spectral Sailor Facebook page. So I'm interested in that because I'm like a science nerd. So
nerd.
yeah. That woman also, the CC Moore that invented or pioneered the system of doing genealogical genetic DNA testing, said that genetic genealogy is only a lead generator. It is used to create a lead in a case where we did not have one before. That is why so many serial killers got away with so many unalivings before they ever actually got caught, because they were so good at it, and we did not have this system to do that until later on, like in the 80s. Or maybe it might have been a little bit before the 80s, it might have been in the 70s, but it was somewhere between the 70s and the 80s, I believe, because I've watched a lot of true crime and a lot of serial killer documentaries. But somewhere in the 70s or 80s is when this was pioneered. I might be wrong. If you know better than me, put it in the comments. Touche to you. But anyways, it's not meant to be used as even or submitted even as a piece of evidence. It's meant to create the lead so that you can then go collect the DNA of said person to prove that that specimen you collected from the crime scene was correct. Then you go, and it's totally legal to do this, to go and steal their trash with their DNA on it and submit it for testing to compare the two, to match it, to identify them. And it is submissible to do that. And you can use it to get the probable cause and to get the other pieces of evidence and link the other pieces and tie the other pieces so you can get the probable cause. So,
Yeah, if they throw it away and it's out on the street or in a
yeah.
garbage can at the end of their, because that's something they threw out.
Now, if it was locked up in a cupboard inside their house, you don't have the right to go through it.
No.
If there's a lock on it, you're not supposed to get into it without a search warrant.
No.
That's why that locker that they found in his apartment, even though they were already ransacking the apartment, they couldn't go through that locker without a warrant. They needed
But
to get
they had a warrant.
Huh?
They had a warrant for his apartment.
No, I didn't say that. I said even though they had a warrant for the apartment and they were going through the apartment, they found a locker, a storage locker, and they had to get another warrant
Oh, yeah.
to get into that storage locker.
Yeah. But they called and got a verbal.
Yeah, and then they found the key. So you have to get a warrant for something that's locked up. Like when I'm in boot camp, they can beat us down and they can go through anything in our rack that's unlocked, but we have a special little drawer that's locked and they're not allowed to go through it. So you want to put whatever you want to put in there, no one will know it's in there. Not saying you need to do anything criminal, because don't try this at home, kids. Don't try that at home. Don't try it at boot camp either. You will get in so much trouble. But anyways, yeah, I thought I'd put that in there too, where she said genetic genealogy is only a lead generator. It is not evidence. and the genetic genealogy is not presented to the jury. It is only a tip, a lead, and this could have been a Ted Bundy or a Zodiac killer, she said. And it's better to do what you have to do to get that person off the street and get them where they're not able to commit any more crimes like that. And then people are going to, tit for tat and go, like whatever you want to call it. They're going to go, act erratic about like, oh, that's not even able to be used, and he wants to have the, access to it, and they're denying it to him. So some people are saying that they said it don't even belong to him, and I think they misread the paperwork. Not talking bad about anybody. I just think that they misread the paperwork. I think they meant that if it was submitted and it belonged to the technology, the processing, the lab, the whoever took it on themselves, if you like, maybe they're like technicians or specialists, it belonged to them, and they were submitted that it no longer belongs to him. It is in their chain of custody. It belongs to them. If they don't want to give it to him, they don't have to give it to him. Now, they probably, if they're going to use anything like that they're saying doesn't belong to him, which they're saying they're not going to use that, then they would have to submit it to the judge, and it has to be okayed for them to use it in the case. So, I mean, or in the court or whatever. But anyways, I watch a lot of court TV too. I've watched a lot of it, a lot of that stuff. I mean, and I don't know every state's the same. I am not saying that because they're not. Pennsylvania apparently is not the same as Idaho, and Idaho is not the same as Washington. So, I mean, they're not the same. Their processes are completely different because I know that a lot of people were blowing up about how Idaho was doing this and how it was a preliminary hearing that was going to happen, and they were saying there should be a grand jury trial. Well, there you go. There you go. Grand jury trial. Secret grand jury trial. Some of the questions that I had, I really don't know if I want to ask them right now, even though we still have time. So I kind of want to save them for them guys tomorrow.
Yeah. Anthony, have you ever found something on the internet the next time you went to look for it, it disappears? Yes, you were probably on the phone. We were just talking about that. I was on YouTube, and there was a guy. I was on his live, and he had put into the computer a search. I guess it was a search engine, and he was asking what evidence that it had that on Brian Kohlberger, and what evidence they had against him, and it come up that they had a knife. And when he asked the question, and then it disappeared, so he asked the question again, and it didn't come up with that. So I don't know if and we all seen it, that it said a knife. So and then it just disappeared.
His interview earlier with oh my gosh, what's her name? Everybody knows who she is. She's worked for the FBI and SWAT.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Oh, what's her name? Anyways, he was interviewing her earlier, and that was a very good interview. Some people were going after her because they were like, she's prosecuted and put to death such and such people, and she shouldn't be on this Christian channel. And I'm like, God believes in justice too. I mean, I'm not saying that any one person has the same power as him to choose when someone does live or die. That's why they do juries and trials. That's why there's jurors. That's why there's grand juries. That's why there's, court cases. That's why you got, how long was Letitia Stauch's case? And Lori Daybell Vallow's case, like 20 something days, 23, 28 days or something, 25 days, I think.
Yeah.
Lori's was 25. I don't know how long Letitia's was. It's pretty long though. Like, that's why you have those. Because that is the justice system and the balance, and like they give those people the liberty to be able to make the best judgment based upon whatever is witnessed by them in court, by both sides.
Yeah, that Lori Vallow, she needs to.
I didn't even watch her stuff because
I didn't either. I couldn't.
I just can't stomach children.
Mm-mm.
Now, I don't think this case is different because their human life wasn't as valuable, but I just, something in me gets sick and my stomach gets sick if I watch anything to do with abuse, neglect, or unaliving, or sodomizing, or assaulting children. I just
Ugh.
can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it because I get too like uproared about it,
I was watching a
and it makes me sick too.
TikTok before I got on here, and it was a classroom, and the sirens went off in the school, and these poor kids, they were doing a exercise for a school shooting, and was actually, I've heard about them, but I was actually watching what these kids have to do, and I got tears in my eyes. It just, they have to get under their seats and shut the lights out, and teacher locks the door, and I just,
It's sad that kids have to do that
I know, and just to
instead of
watch
just
it,
freaking go to
and
school and learn
they
and
have
be a kid.
they have to be quiet, and the teacher gives them suckers, and to be quiet, and I just, my God, to live in this world and have to go through school, and you know shut the shades, and to give them a sucker so they'll be
Can you
quiet.
imagine what it's like to be that teacher?
Oh, I know. It breaks my heart. I mean, and my my daughter-in-law is about ready to be a teacher, and they're talking about arming, teachers and send them to school to be. I could
Yeah.
not imagine. My daughter-in-law just doesn't have it in her to
And they're
do
talking
that.
about putting machines with Narcan in them as well because there's so many overdoses of teenagers in high school.
Uh, I just,
And it's not even
and my
by choice.
granddaughter's 3 years old, and thinking about my granddaughter having to go to school, and and my daughter-in-law, I'm just scared to death.
I know.
I thank God my kids are old enough that they don't have to go to school, but now my daughter-in-law and my granddaughter, and my daughter's getting ready to get married, and I know they're wanting kids, and my word.
There's like a lot of information that's not ready to be known to the world, and that's why I think one of the number one reasons that they kept a gag on this case, and the other number two reason is because it would compromise the integrity of each side in court to take that gag order off. In one way, it would leave them underprepared on the defense side, but in one way, it's going to like leave them ready to be picked apart by the vultures on the prosecution side and have a less of a chance of keeping a good case with integrity the whole time that they do the grand jury trial. I just like I see the other side of the judicial system and the law and the legal system of why they have the gag order. Everybody else sees that they want to know everything so they can obsess over it. And they don't really understand it unless they worked in the judicial system. And even then, some of those people still want to know. I've been waiting and waiting and waiting for them to do this preliminary hearing, and then I saw they're going to do a secret jury trial, and I was like, man, we're still not going to know anything.
I think that was a good move, though, because that keeps it under wraps even more, because I
Mm-hmm.
think now that they picked up those other two, that female, that young girl, and that older 36-year-old male, I think they're involved with it too, and that just
I
plotting.
think that it's also that was another reason I thought because if they are involved with some kind of bigger
Yeah, I think I
organized
think this is
crime
a
group,
lot. I think this is a lot bigger than what anybody thinks.
I think it can be too. But I don't think that would not be tried That would not be used unless there's evidence. That would not be used in this case. That would be a separate case. Those people would be used, and they would be, even if it's connected to this. I don't know how to explain this. Like, Lori Vallow Daybell just had to get charges put on her again after she's already been convicted. Days later, she just had new charges found on her for attempted murder of Melanie. It's her cousin of her, for attempting to murder Melanie's ex-husband, recently divorced ex-husband. They were trying to kill him using Tylee's vehicle. They went and pulled up next to his vehicle, and they had a gun with a silencer and stuck it out the back hatch of this Jeep and shot into the vehicle. I don't know if they thought he was in there or if that was a warning, but he was in another vehicle that he has, which is one of those like battery powered cars, and he was actually either watching or driving by and saw this happen and called the police, and the police came and they told him to just um, stay in his vehicle. He followed them. He
Damn.
followed them until the police came. So she just got new charges for the attempted murder, and now they're talking about putting charges on Melanie, which is, I think, her cousin, because she was involved and knew about it and didn't say anything. She was brainwashed by Lori to divorce him and leave him. They were happy, and then she started coming around, and then she wasn't happy all of a sudden and wanted a divorce, and then Lori found one of the people that was part of whatever like religious cult that Chad is part of, and got her married to him in a few weeks of her divorce.
Oh, jeez.
She had some silver tongued devil voodoo shit going on with her.
I guess.
Her power. She got some power going on. There's a lot of people that do though, and they don't. There's people that I can think of off the top of my head right now that I know that I'm friends with that have that kind of power, and I got to be careful because everybody's got to be careful with someone like that. They have a power, and it is
bad.
It's almost like you have to have really strong discernment against it, and not be a follower or a sheep.
Glad I'm not.
So tomorrow night we're gonna have the Drunk Turkey on. Tomorrow night on this same channel, on YouTube, the Spectral Sailor on YouTube, on the Spectral Sailor Facebook page, and on the Temple of Phoenix page at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. We'll be asking the Drunk Turkey guys about what their thoughts are. I have like 3 pages of questions. It might only be Daniel. He's not sure yet. He's got to get to the 2 other hosts of his show and ask them if they'll be available. So it might be all 3 of them. I'm really hoping it's all 3 of them because I want to get all 3 of their views. It's just more interesting if you can get 3 different points of view on something. And so I have a lot of questions to ask them tomorrow night. Everyone, if you have any questions about the Idaho 4 case or anything to do with it, they've been really like hard charged to stay in the loop, and they've interviewed several people that live there that either are from the campus or are parents of students that know a lot of stuff, so we can ask questions to them about that as well. I don't know if y'all watched any of their interviews when they interviewed those people, but I've got some questions that are probably gonna like gain a little bit of insight into what they talked about with those witnesses as well. So I mean, I don't know if I can call them a witness. I guess I can if I see someone steal a candy bar at a gas station. I'm a witness, right? So
I don't know, Anthony, but I hope so.
hey, Kelly.
Hi, Kelly.
Possible we'll get all 3 on the show. I hope so. I'm gonna. Maybe I should message him and say, "Are all 3 of you gonna come on the show?" I did message him earlier and say, "Hey, from UK, Great Britain, how's it going? That's awesome. You're
Hi.
up very early this morning. It's 4 a.m., right? No, it's not. It's 2 a.m. or 3. Is it 3? It's 3 a.m. there.
It's
Do the math. I hate mathing.
2. Great
I think
Britain.
it's 3. It's 3 because they're 6 hours ahead. Yep. So is Ireland and Scotland. Thank you for joining. We were just about to end the show. Sorry. But you can go back and watch the replay. We talked about a lot of the genealogical genetic DNA processing, how they come to get the conclusions with it, and what is the full process from law enforcement as soon as they collect a specimen of DNA. We went over that, and we actually explained how they get the hits that they get back when they do the genealogical DNA testing. And we
That's a
talked
mouthful.
about some recent, like developments in the case as far as documents and announcements and things that they're going to be doing for like the secret grand jury and such other things. So if you're interested in that at all, go back and watch the replay. And if you're following this case, thanks everybody for watching.
Good night. Have a good night. See you tomorrow, hopefully.
Keep it creepy, and we'll be back tomorrow night at 8 p.m. with our special guest, the Drunk Turkey Show. Good night.